We've got to be able to understand if the changes or the adjustments that we're making are having a positive change and things are actually happening. So we do have a set of generally described metrics. First term or reenlistment, is that going up? Sexual assault, sexual harassment reporting, is that going up? Are our cases closing faster? I mean, there are things that are easily measurable. I think on the other side of how do we know it's working is the buy-in from soldiers and families, just talking to the soldiers and families and ensuring that what we're trying to deliver is something that, one, they understand, and two, they accept.
Texas. They say everything's bigger here, and they're right. We've got big cars, big hearts, and even bigger stakes. This is beef country, Texas. Home to the Alamo, the Cowboys, and the largest military installation known to man. So big, it has a big name. Fort Hood, the great place. It's got a Texas-sized podcast as well. And this is it, right here. Fort Hood's great big podcast. Yeehaw.
That was 3 Corps and Fort Hood Commanding General, Lieutenant General Pat White, speaking about Operation People First and how it's going to work going forward. Now, the independent review was released December 8th, and Lieutenant General White spoke to the media. That clip that we opened the show with, that was him speaking to the media less than an hour after the Secretary of the Army and the Chief of Staff of the Army held their press conference in Washington, D.C.
Yes.
Melissa.
Yes.
It's a lot of news around here, right?
Yes.
Last week podcast, it was all holiday. And then the report dropped.
Yes.
Right after we taped the show.
Yes.
So, did you read the report?
Hashtag, I read the report.
Hashtag, you read the report. Well,
yes.
You are in uniform and you were told read that report, right?
Right, but I read it before we were told to read it.
Really?
Yes.
So, thoughts?
Well, that's rough. It was rough reading about the
sexual harassment,
and sexual assault, and it was so I understand that combat MOSs were open to females 4 years ago.
Yeah.
It was rough reading the correlation between the combat brigades and those results.
Right.
Because it stated it right in the report.
Right.
I never even thought to put those two together. I don't know if they belong together, but who knows?
Sure.
And I didn't realize that the numbers at CID were low.
Right.
So it was pretty rough reading it. I haven't never thought about the other MOSs and how they do their jobs and stuff. I've only ever thought about my MOS and what goes on at my brigade.
Sure.
So it was interesting to read that report, and it was very eye-opening. And I've seen the conversation open up online, at least,
right,
about what's in it and how people are intending to change.
All right. Well, speaking of intending to change, that at that press conference, General White addressed the media in his opening statements, talking about how Fort Hood and 3 Corps as a whole are going to move forward. You want to take a listen?
Absolutely.
I do want you to know that we've got 38,000 soldiers, Department of the Army civilians that come to duty here every day at Fort Hood. And they volunteered to serve our nation. They're answering the call to service, and I am immensely proud of them, and you all should be too, because they're your Army. Our soldiers and our families and our Department of the Army civilians deserve to work and live in a safe and healthy environment where everyone is treated with dignity and respect. And I think you heard that in the Secretary's remarks, Chief of Staff of the Army, McConville's remarks earlier. That media interview at the Pentagon earlier with Army senior leaders went through a series of findings from the Fort Hood Independent Review Committee that was here this past summer. And then following that, the committee members got up and worked through what their findings were and what their recommendations were. I do want to thank the committee personally and members of the panel and the whole team. I mean, this is a historically unprecedented look that they've provided me as a commander and the rest of the team here at Fort Hood. And there's some candid feedback about the climate and culture here at Fort Hood. But I also want to acknowledge and the respect and appreciation, the courage and honesty that was shown by those that were interviewed, right, answering the questions that the panel had. And to be frank, I think you heard some of the statistics if you were able to listen in to the panel. You know, there were 2,500 interview participants. There were 500 female soldiers. There were 31,000 additional survey respondents. And across all of that, what was made abundantly clear is that we got to fix our culture, particularly regarding sexual harassment and sexual assault. You know, everyone in the Army is responsible for the culture, but commanders are responsible for the climate. And so I can tell you, I told the Chief of Staff a few minutes ago, General McConville, I own this, and I'm going to get after it. We're going to talk about that here in a second. While the committee's findings provided us with, you know, a sobering level of granularity we did not have previously. When I got back from Iraq, I didn't wait. We already sensed what was happening. And so while we were eager to receive the committee's analysis, I took action right away. So across the 3rd Armored Corps, there's 90,000 soldiers on any given day, and they're stationed here at Fort Hood, Fort Bliss in western Texas, at Fort Carson in Colorado, and Fort Riley. We also have some soldiers at Fort Sill in Oklahoma. So we've initiated an enduring plan to rebuild and maintain the trust between the leader and the led, because that's the bedrock of our profession, and it's what the American people expect of their Army. So the initiative that I've directed is called Operation People First, and it's a recognition that at the center of everything we do are our people, and they are our greatest strength. They're our most valuable asset. They're the most important resource we have in fighting and winning our nation's wars. And it recognizes that change is required at every level and every echelon to improve trust. It's going to focus on forming cohesive teams. It's going to prioritize a commitment to place our soldiers, families, and Department of the Army civilians first with capital letters, focused on leaders knowing the needs of their soldiers, leaders taking action to make a positive difference in their soldiers' lives, and holding leaders accountable to achieve those results. So for all of the 3rd Armored Corps, Operation People First is my number one priority. I got to figure out a way to slow things down a little bit. We're already kind of doing that, and I'll explain that here in a second. The first step was giving leaders back some time. I can't expect a leader to get to know their soldiers better and to get after what we have with our challenges here if I don't give them the time to get to know their soldiers and their families. And so to date, and you can work this out with your math, more than 4 million man-hours have been pulled from things we thought we were going to do to give time back to these small unit leaders and the leaders that we have here at Fort Hood and across the Corps. It's about building teams. It's about attacking the corrosives of sexual harassment and sexual assault, of racism and extremism that is in our ranks. Going forward, I'm gonna reinforce this. This is not a one and done. This is a sustained effort to effect permanent change and to foster trust and cohesion across our force. As I mentioned before, culture and climate starts at the top of any organization, and we can only rebuild this trust by our actions. A little bit of integrity is involved here, a little bit of accountability is involved. We got to take care of people. We got to build cohesive teams, and most of all, we've got to live the Army values. Last, I'll talk to you a little bit about what does it all mean to create a lasting and positive change. And that's across Fort Hood, but it's really across the entire 3rd Armored Corps. I'm going to take the findings and recommendations of the committee. There were 9 findings and 70 recommendations with some sub-recommendations contained within there. I'm going to move out on those that I can within my authorities and within the scope of what I'm allowed to do, and I will nest in with the Army as they move forward, as you heard the Chief, General McConville, and the Secretary of the Army talk earlier. So really from the commanding general down to the newest private that comes here to Fort Hood, it's our Corps, right? And we're all accountable together, and we're going to make a difference. So we're going to lead this change. We're going to show how leaders can achieve irreversible positive momentum. And in closing, the leadership here at 3rd Corps and Fort Hood are fully committed to creating a culture and a climate that our soldiers and the American people are going to be proud of, that's built upon a foundation of trust, dignity, and respect, and we'll address the challenges head on and lead our Army forward.
Now, that press conference was held at Club Hood about noonish, something like that. 3 hours later, though, the General and Command Sergeant Major Cliff Burgoyne went out to Hood Stadium. You were there.
Yes.
Right? You were not there as an attendee, though.
No.
Right?
Nope,
You were there taking pictures and all that stuff, because the only people there in the stands were 1,800 junior soldiers in grades
E1 through E4.
E1 to E4, right? Specialist and below, or corporal and below, whatever. But that was the target audience that the senior leaders wanted to reach out to.
Right.
What did you think of it?
It was very straightforward, very heartfelt, and I applaud those junior soldiers that did come forward. I personally never would have courage enough to go forward and talk in front of all those people.
Speaking of courage, you know, the event, it was shared on the 3 Corps and Fort Hood Facebook page. It was live streamed and called it Troop Talk, so it's out there, and we put it on Twitter as well. But the thing is that it is out there if you want to listen to the entire thing. But there is a moment during that hour-long session when soldiers were afforded the opportunity to speak to their leaders. And I think that was the most telling thing for me, was that you have the leaders talking and saying, we need to do this as a team, blah, 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 blah. But the biggest thing was they didn't just go there to talk. They went there to listen.
Yes.
And one individual in particular really moved me and moved the leaders. So let's take a listen.
Good afternoon, sir. Sergeant Major. I'm Specialist Pemberton. I'm from Cleveland, Ohio. What I'd like to address to you guys today is something about sexual assault and harassment. I'm not only speaking about myself, but from other people that I've known in the Army. So when I was a private, I was in Korea, and I was sexually assaulted by my NCO. I loved the Army. I wasn't going to say anything, but then I wanted to speak up for other females. So I went to a court-martial. I had DNA evidence. I had eyewitnesses, testimonies, and my whole lawyers for the Army. The NCO had no defense. He had his lawyer. They did not bring any defense with them. He chose a panel board, and that whole panel board was male. And not only that, but they used my sharp advantages against me. The only defense they had was that they said, you seduced him so you could go to Fort Hood to be with your spouse. Because if they're an expedited transfer, you're allowed to go somewhere, obviously with family members or your spouse, where you feel comfortable, because I did not feel safe. And that was the only offense that's the only thing they held against me, despite the DNA evidence, despite what was said, despite the testimonies, despite the eyewitnesses. And he got not guilty on all 5 charges, despite fraternization, despite the sexual assault, harassment, everything. And then not only that, but I know battle buddies and other females. My battle buddy right now that I work with, she was assaulted in basic training because she was helping a male study. And the drill sergeant took the male side and did not give him an Article 15 or anything, didn't get him kicked out, but she got an Article 15 for hang out with him after duty hours. I understand that's wrong, but touching somebody inappropriately without the consent is worse, and they did not deserve to be in the Army. So what I'm asking is that not only do we need to be more expansive with our sharp regulations, but when it comes to court-martials and JAG, we need to be equal on both of those as well, so that females feel comfortable speaking about this. I'm sorry for getting emotional, but I had to address this.
Okay. First, this is something that was heard throughout the committee's visit. That's why we're standing out here today. Second, and I cannot speak for past chains of command. Here at Fort Hood, we've reinvigorated a board process that examines every open sexual harassment and sexual assault case on this base. Your brigade commanders and your staff judge advocates and CIDs sit in the room with me. Once a month, I go through every single case. And part of this is speed of compassion, and part of this is making sure we follow the judiciary process along the way. Because what I think part of your message is, and where I need to help you as a commander, is for the predators that are out there, or those that are opportunistic, that want to prey on others and take advantage of them. If we catch you and the evidence is there, we should do everything we can in our power so they're not a part of our team in the end. Now, there's probably some lawyers over here that are saying, hey, don't say stuff like that, sir. But the point is, I've adjusted the process because I need to see what's going on here, right? And I need to make sure we don't have cases dragging out for months and months and months and months, because it's both for the victim and the subject, right? So I am sorry to hear about your experience. The courage you just exhibited in front of people you don't even know. And oh, by the way, we've got TV stations here, is the kind of courage I need so I can get this thing righted. So God bless you, and you know my number, and you're going to get it when you come out. Feel free to come talk to me. I have unlimited resources to help, right? And again, thank you for your personal courage. That was absolutely tremendous. For the rest of you sitting there, whether you've had a similar experience or not, if you're going to let somebody on your team have to go through something like this, I mean, really? This is your teammate. Why would that happen? So, again, help us write this thing. That's why we came out here today, and thanks for your courage. Sergeant Major.
Hey, I want to say thank you to the emotions that you put into that, because it struck me. I have a 20-year-old daughter, and I will tell you that I don't know if I could stand by and just talk if somebody did that to my daughter. And so I'm a father, I'm a husband, and it pisses me off that has happened to you, because I want every soldier to have the Army life that I've enjoyed for 35 years. And so for you, I apologize. I want to hit on something that the CG talked about on this specific event right here. Listen, if we're a team, we're not letting this happen. We're not. And so if that struck you as emotional, her story, it should. And so we should do something about it. We as an Army, we as a soldier. Hey, let's stand up and fight against this crap and not put up with it, because I'm not. And I need you. We talked about this earlier. We need you. But I think everybody needs to give her a round of applause for what she just did. You ready to go to Ranger School now? Huh? Sapper? No, you got to go to the hard one first, not the easy one. All right. Well, thank you very much.
And just one more thing for all of you related to this. You know, I have directed across this installation, in fact, across the Corps, so Fort Bliss, Fort Carson, Fort Riley, and the 75th Fires Brigade at Fort Sill, that we take a week, we stand up a little bit, it's not time off, and we help get to know each other a little bit better. Some of you may or may not have experienced it, but part of the process is understanding the history of your team. Everybody here has a squad. It might not be an infantry squad, but everybody's got a squad. Sergeant Major's on my squad. My executive officer's on my squad. My wife is on my squad. My 3 kids and my 3 grandkids, they're on my squad, right? And it's your responsibility to get to know members of your team. So part of this 5 days that is mandatory before Christmas for your leaders to come to you and have a frank discussion about who you are. There is a requirement to call a loved one or friend that's in your life that might be the person that you exhibit a sign or a signal to that could just be the person that helps us intervene. But if your squad leaders and your company commanders and platoon leaders don't know who that is, they're never going to be able to help. And we do soldier sensing sessions on Tuesdays. And last week it was brought up, hey, I'm uncomfortable with some of the things that are going on during this week. One sergeant said, I really don't want you guys coming to my house. And I gave him a different perspective on why we want to know where you live. If you don't live on post with rats in the barracks, right, that it is important we see the conditions by which we are providing for you, both in the community and here on post. So I would ask you guys to please embrace this concept of backing up a little bit, taking 5 days to do some certifications, some counseling, fill out your leader books, and then understand who's in your squad. It's super important.
That's courage.
Yes, I agree.
It is a shame. It's shameful that things played out for that young lady the way they did.
Yep.
And
yep.
There was something that the general said back in the press conference thing where he said that culture is everyone's responsibility.
Right.
But the climate is the leadership.
Right.
How do you think Sergeant Melissa Lessard, how long have you been in?
15 years.
Well, not in the Army 15 years.
No, not in the Army 15
Okay, how many
years.
Years in the Army?
In the active duty Army?
Yeah.
Since 2017, so 3 years.
3 years. Okay. How does the culture change? It's not something you can just snap your finger and go.
No. Culture changes through persistence, probably. Over time, like we continue to first you have to role model
right
the change that you want and then keep doing it over time.
Show everybody what right looks like.
Right. Mm-hmm. So maybe instead of letting that person walk into the store with their PTs on and ignoring it, say something.
Right.
Or if somebody looks backwards, like I walked out of 3 Corps yesterday without my mask on, totally forgot to put it on. I was holding it in my hand.
Yeah,
Nobody said anything.
You do it all the time. Yeah. I get halfway down the hallway and go, ugh.
Right? But nobody says anything anymore. They just walk by and they don't address the little things. And the little things pile on to big things. And the longer it goes on, the bigger the problem gets.
Right. Standards.
Yep. I love standards and discipline. Like, I don't know. I get really excited over standards and discipline.
So across the board, if there's discipline, you think people will treat each other better?
I would hope so.
Because that is the standard, right?
Right.
Yeah. You know what? I think we should go to break and we should come back, and this is the holiday season, right?
Right. We need to be excited about the holidays.
Yeah, and let's talk.
It's almost Christmas.
Okay, let's shift gears and talk some holiday movies with Sentinel Sports and Leisure editor Blair Dupre. And we'll do that right after this.
Oh, no!
This is terrible, Chief.
I know. He was such a fat, jolly old elf. If only he had been wearing his seatbelt. Those eyes won't be twinkling anymore, Lou.
Probably thought it saved him time while he hopped in and out of his sleigh.
Well, it might have saved him time, but it cost him his life. What are we going to tell the kids, Lou? What are we going to tell the kids?
Tragic events like this don't have to happen. Studies show that wearing a seatbelt reduces serious crash-related injuries and deaths by half. Buckle up. It's not just smart, it's the law.
Ho, ho, ho! I'm okay, thanks to Christmas magic. What's this?
A ticket.
Oh.
Hey, Blair went to the movies. Hey, Blair went to the movies. Hey, Blair went to the movies. And here's what she thinks.
All right, I'm an inquiring mind. Have you been to the movies? 2020 is almost over, Blair Dupre.
No, I have not.
You have not?
Not since Onward in March.
Wow.
When Onward came out.
Wow.
But...
I do know one person that went to the movies and he got COVID, so
exactly.
you're probably making more sense than anybody.
Yeah, I mean, and a lot of stuff wasn't really coming out either. But now it's like on Christmas, there's a whole bunch of stuff playing.
Well,
to come out.
it's Christmas time.
Mm-hmm.
Do you watch the Hallmark Channel?
Sometimes, but I don't have cable. So.
Yeah, I know you do, right?
Yeah.
Lifetime still has the slasher movies, though.
I like Lifetime.
Are they doing Christmas
They've
movies
got
finally?
romantic, cheesy Christmas movies, too.
Romantic, cheesy Christmas movies where women get murdered or women murder people.
Well,
They
normally
actually
it
don't.
is,
It's
you
like
know.
a Hallmark type
Oh,
of
okay.
thing. Yeah.
Normally
no.
Lifetime is, Hallmark is I met Prince Charming, and Lifetime is I met Prince Charming and he's a serial killer.
No.
Yes.
It is.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but...
That is their dynamic.
Yeah, usually. I haven't seen one of their Christmas movies this year that's like that.
Okay.
Of course, I don't go seek... Hallmark's my go-to if I'm going to watch some cheesy thing like that.
If I have cable, I like to seek out Lifetime.
The wife had Hallmark on yesterday when I came home.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like...
Did you internally groan?
No, I grabbed my Blu-ray of Game of Thrones and started rewatching that in the bedroom.
Cool.
She keeps the TV, so yeah, I'm on. I got up to season 4 now. I'm rewatching it from the start.
Nice. I like to do that.
But actually, I never saw the last 2 seasons ever.
Oh, okay.
So don't spoil it for me.
I've never seen Game of Thrones.
I haven't either,
Oh, there you go. You guys can't spoil nothing. Cool. Anyway, well, it's COVID, so I started to get, here's a season of this or the complete series of that.
Right.
And,
my husband tried getting into that show, and he couldn't. If he can't, then I can't.
Okay. But this is the holiday season.
Yes.
And you have a column in the December 17th edition of the Fort Hood Sentinel.
Yes.
Standing watch since 1942.
Shameless plug. Yeah, it's I love the Christmas Carol movies. Like it's been my favorite since I was little. And so for this I decided to watch kind of the non-traditional retellings of that story.
I got to ask before you get into the movie thing, have you ever read Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol?
No.
You've never read it? It's a really small book.
Yeah, I know.
You could probably read it in one day.
Yeah, I could probably read it in just a couple hours.
How about you, Melissa?
Never read it.
Everybody's watched a million different versions of this story, and neither one of you have read the book.
No. I did listen to parts of the audiobook just for reference.
I mean, she's got a master's. You got your college
just because
educated.
I have a college degree does not mean I am smart or have read a whole bunch of... I just want to clarify that, and I'm sure a lot of people listening would agree with me.
When my kids stop bothering me every 2 seconds, I'll read the book.
Well, there you go. Are you feeling okay?
Yeah.
It's not COVID, is it?
No.
God, I hope not.
No.
Okay, so A Christmas Carol, take me there. I just derailed you again.
No, it's okay. So for this, I've watched the many just normal versions, the one from, I think it's the 1930s, the 1950s, 70s, the Jim Carrey one that Disney put out. I think it's been 10 years now.
Easy.
Is my favorite. But, for this, I wanted to watch the non-traditional one. So we watched The Muppets Christmas Carol.
Right.
Mickey's Christmas Carol.
Right.
What else? We watched a few short made for TV kind of episode things.
Mm-hmm.
It was the Smurfs.
Yeah.
The Jetsons. A British show
The
called...
Jetsons do A Christmas Carol?
Yeah, it's just a short episode.
It's 30 minutes, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't suggest it either.
Meet George Jetson.
Yeah. That one was on HBO Max. And a British show called Blackadder. It's got the guy that plays Mr. Bean in it as the main character. Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry. It's stuck in my head now. Thanks.
Yeah, but and then we watched My Dad is Scrooge, which I'll talk about that later.
No, you're going to talk about that now. My Dad is Scrooge.
It was the worst movie I've ever seen probably in my life.
Starring whom?
I don't know.
It was that bad, huh?
Yeah, it's in the in the article I described it. The acting's really, really bad. It's clearly just a low budget movie made for little kids. Because basically what happens is this brother and sister and their dad go to this farm, and the dad notifies the people that own the farm that they're being foreclosed on, and the animals who have been given the power to speak by Santa Claus because the owners took care of one of his reindeer.
It's Christmas magic.
Yes. Seek out the kids and ask for their help in changing their dad's mind. So,
interesting.
Yeah, the spirits are played by the animals. Just there's tons of plot holes. The humor is really simple, and then another character will hit the nail on the head even harder. You know, just to explain the joke, even though we all got it, and it just makes it worse. The only thing that I thought was cool about it was the little bunny was cute, but I mean, and the acting by the two that play the mom and the dad of the two kids it's just bad. It's just really, really bad. Now, if you got little young kids that like animals, then it's perfect.
My Dad is Scrooge.
My Dad is Scrooge. That one's on Hulu.
Okay.
I think it was made by a Canadian film company. Mar Vista is the name of the.
That's what South Park
See,
always
that should.
South Park always says, blame Canada, right?
Depending on who makes the film should tell you if it's going to be, low grade or regular grade type filmography.
Oh, yeah. So you said the Jim Carrey one.
Yeah.
The Disney version, the 10 years ago. It's animated, right?
Yeah, it's I think it was motion capture. So they had the actors acting, but then they used technology to kind of just put the elements over them. Yeah.
It was kind of, some of the drawings to me were kind of dark. Why did you like that one?
I mean, and I think that's the first one that I saw, because I know in one of the older traditional ones, I don't remember which one, but they've got the reference to the two kids that the Ghost of Christmas Present shows, Scrooge.
Mm-hmm.
But that was because I remember watching it in the theater, and being terrified.
Right.
Because I was like, I don't remember this,
Yeah.
It's two little demon-looking kids.
Mm-hmm.
But I've always liked the story because of the supernatural type of themes. I don't know why, because I'm not into supernatural stuff type of person.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. It's always just kind of grabbed me. So that's kind of the one I've just been hooked on since I was little. But I always watch in other adaptations to see how they either just avoid it or try to incorporate it.
Right.
In their telling, and pretty much all of these, pretty much all the ones that I watched were made for kids except for A Diva's Christmas Carol.
A Diva's?
A Diva's Christmas Carol, yes.
Okay. Fill me in.
I think, I'll double check myself, but I'm pretty sure. I mean, you watch so many of these things and you can't keep up.
Did you start watching all of these shows knowing that you're analyzing them? I think I could sit there and watch movies knowing that I'm analyzing them.
Yeah.
Movie reviewer, she's getting paid for this.
Right?
Yeah. It definitely clocks hours for me.
Yeah.
Vanessa Williams plays Ebony Scrooge.
Ebony Scrooge.
Ebony Scrooge, who is a successful singer.
Oh, so that's modern day kind of.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
is it more towards the teenage crowd or adult crowd?
I think kind of adults, older teenagers, adults,
young adults.
Yeah, yeah, that's the term. That's the term.
Sorry, I didn't mean to snort.
It's okay.
It wasn't that funny.
I mean, there's some cussing in it, and whatever. but
Adult
more
language?
Yes, adult language.
In a Christmas Carol?
Yes.
Oh, that's terrible.
So, and the Barbie version, which I also watched. Yes, Barbie has a
Barbie
version of this.
has a version.
Goodness.
Yes, Barbie.
Like the doll.
Yes, the doll. Yes. They filmed all dolls.
She moves.
That's exactly.
Is it like watching the Play-Doh TV show, where like the little
Oh, like
Play-Doh-
claymation?
Yeah.
No. It's
okay.
it's normal, like just CGI stuff. But like some of the other movies they put out, which I grew up with the Barbie movies. So, and this one came out after my time,
Okay.
But I enjoyed it, and I think, like A Diva's Christmas Carol, it shows that, Scrooges can exist in all genders, all job types,
Right.
because the normal story is this older gentleman who has lived his life and, is a grumpy person and is a businessman and has all this money, and is greedy. But, it's like you can be a Scrooge and not be rich, I think. So,
What?
Yeah. So I feel
I
like
thought that was prerequisite.
no.
Okay.
So I feel like
I'm not rich and I'm a Scrooge.
Bah humbug.
yeah, I feel like those types of interpretations are kind of cool just to, because they make you kind of think, oh, maybe you don't have to be some old grumpy man to be a
Right.
Scrooge. So that's why I enjoyed those. And the Divas Christmas Carol, they did jump over the two kids that
That's a tough scene.
it is, because I looked up, I listened to a reading of the book, and that part specifically because I wanted to see how they were described.
Mm-hmm.
And they're described, I wrote down the words. They were miserable, unhuman, demon-like, wretched, hideous.
Yeah.
So trying to adapt that to, especially like a kid's thing.
Oh, yeah.
It's hard to do. And the main...
You didn't see that in the Muppet version.
Nope. And the main purpose is Charles Dickens. The boy's name is Want.
Yeah.
And he was very big on education.
Yep.
And at the time when this book was written, people who were poor didn't have access to education.
Right.
So they couldn't improve their state. And then we consider want now to be things that we want, not necessities. Mm-hmm. But back in the day, want was a need. So it would have been interpreted that way.
Now I want to read the book.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's...
The girl was ignorance?
The boy was ignorance. The girl was want.
The girl was want.
And Scrooge is specifically advised to avoid ignorance more than want.
Yeah.
So he was very big on making sure people were educated. And that was the metaphor that he incorporated in his book.
That's why you got to read Dickens.
Yes, that sounds exciting. Now I want to read the book.
Have you ever read anything by Dickens?
No. The school I went to was a high school, was not good. And then in college, they were like, business, let's go, So, yeah. A Christmas Carol, I've wanted to get the book for a long time. It's just something I've never.
It's a quick read, and it's so good.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Mm-hmm.
He's one of the greatest writers of all time.
Yes, I have read a few books.
Yeah.
Or stories.
You have read a few books?
No.
You got
From
a master's
Charles
degree,
Dickens.
I hope so.
Oh my goodness.
Jeez.
I love reading.
Yeah, so do I.
It just has to be very, captivating.
So do I.
Same.
I have to ask, though. All right, we already got it that you didn't read the book.
Yeah.
But did you ever see the black and white version from like the 1930s?
Yeah.
Alistair Sinclair starring, and they were a bunch of Shakespearean actors.
Mm-hmm.
They're all Brits, right? So, and it's very, very, for a black and white movie, it's really, really well shot. You should see that version. Because I think it's like, it came out about the same time as Mutiny on the Bounty came out, the original one.
Mm-hmm.
It is, when you make it black and white, it feels old. You know what I mean?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
When you make a movie black and white, and I've seen it, recently, in the last 10 years or so, they've made a couple of movies in black and white. The good German, George Clooney, right?
Yeah.
They made a film in black and white. But when you go back to some of those old black and white movies, they're terrible.
Yeah.
when they're colorized. And somebody actually colorized that one, and It's a Wonderful Life once, and I won't say his name. It was terrible, Ted Turner, that you colorized movies, right? But the bottom line is that it looks so much worse.
Yeah.
And it didn't hold up, but it holds up as a black and white film.
Yeah.
But tell me what you thought of that film, that acting, and that portrayal.
God.
You never saw it, right, Melissa?
No.
And
I don't watch black and white. I've tried.
Really?
like I like older films, so I'm
Yeah.
not. But, you know, the reason why I like the Jim Carrey one so much, and, you know, and the supernatural aspect, which has drawn me to this story, they can portray the spirits in an over-the-top,
Yeah, true.
you know, way.
True.
And they're not limited by the lack of technology.
Oh, yeah.
So, you know, that's why I usually tend to lean toward the newer stuff. But,
Right.
like, just as far as telling the story, which if my uncle was here, he does have the book. He's read the book multiple times, and
Yep.
each Christmas, right, Thanksgiving night, him and my aunt start with It's a Wonderful Life, and then after that, they watch every Christmas Carol
Right.
every night.
Wow.
So it's something that they do. So he is always like, well, this one's closer to the book, and no, you know, so.
Sure.
But, you know, I've liked every adaptation that I've seen, but the ones I'm most drawn to are the ones that can kind of portray the ghosts in a more, you know.
Well, yeah, but you're a 20-something and you want the things that go, "Roo," you know.
Yeah, and I mean,
little more CGCI in a movie, a lot more action, you know.
yeah, and like
Visual.
Yeah, visual for sure. And, you know, which I'm not trying to drag the old version. I mean, I'm saying it's definitely something worth watching.
Mm-hmm.
The acting's good. I think, like, if you're going to get involved in this story, I think you should watch everything that you can.
Very
And I have watched everything that I can. But as far as the non-traditional, I think the Muppets version stood out above all of them.
I like the Muppets.
Mm-hmm.
I've never watched the Muppets.
You don't know who, like, Kermit the Frog is?
Well,
or
like, I
Miss
know
Piggy?
who they are, but I've never watched the Muppets. Neither do my kids. You watch the, what do you call it? The Donald Duck version.
The Donald Duck version?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Mickey's Christmas Carol.
Yeah, Mickey's Christmas Carol.
Yeah, I watched that
absolutely.
one too.
Yeah, I got it on Blu-ray.
Yeah, that one's more of a shorter one.
Right.
It's about 30 minutes. If you're going to start watching the Muppets, I highly suggest starting with A Christmas Carol. I felt like I can't remember his name. It's the guy that plays the butler in the Dark Knight series. Plays Scrooge, but the Muppets, Kermit's Bob Cratchit, and you know, they're incorporated in the story. It's a perfect balance of funny and serious and musical numbers, and you know, me and my roommate thoroughly enjoyed watching that one.
So how many of these, I know there's a lot of cartoon ones, and how many of them are musicals? About half?
Well, if you consider like the two songs in the Divas Christmas Carol, I guess that could count as one.
Sure.
The Muppets was, I don't remember Mickey's being musical. I guess just the two.
Yeah, just those two.
Yeah. And then there's songs in the Barbie one, but it's not like the Muppets.
Okay.
They're just in there to prove that she had talent even when she was young. So, I mean, just really, I think just the Muppets, and yeah, mainly the Muppets. If we're going to go musical, I'd label the Muppets one a musical.
For family entertainment, the Muppets get the big thumbs up?
Yeah, I think it would.
Although Jim Carrey's your favorite.
Yeah. Like, as far as non-traditional retellings go, I think that the Muppets, you know, I think it would entertain adults and young kids and, you know, everybody in between. So,
Nice.
yeah, but the Jim Carrey one, if you want to, like, the kids, I still remember sitting in the theater grabbing the armrests going, oh my God, you know, just because I didn't know that was really a big part of the story, because so many people leave it out, just because it is kind of scary.
Well, yeah, it's scary.
Yeah.
And we want to have a Merry Christmas, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Happy, happy, joy, joy.
Mm-hmm.
All right. What are you doing for Christmas, Blair?
I'm going to go home. Usually my family keeps it low key. We don't do the traditional turkey and ham for Christmas because we had that for Thanksgiving.
Mm-hmm.
And we love seafood. So my family does a shrimp fry for us. So we eat fried shrimp that day.
Very cool.
Where's home?
Orange, Texas.
Okay.
It's about 5 hours from here.
Southeast Texas?
Yeah, right on
Louisiana border?
Yeah,
Right.
Right there.
Nice.
So, yeah, there's not much else going on there, but that's all we do. Just keep it low key. Mm-hmm.
How far from the coast?
Like Gulf of Mexico?
Yeah.
Port Arthur's maybe 30 minutes away, so right there.
Yeah, so, hey, the shrimp's fresh, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it's the best shrimp. I have not found shrimp up here at all that compare to
It's amazing. A
my
5-hour
mom's.
truck drive, you just can't get it up here like you can on the coast.
You really can't. Like, I miss crawfish during crawfish season.
Right.
And, and they've got places up here, but it's just not the same. It's just not the same.
So shrimp is your go-to on Christmas Day.
Oh, yeah, shrimp is good.
That's
too.
interesting.
How about you?
I make tamales and enchiladas on Christmas.
Yeah.
That sounds good.
Ah, a little Tex-Mex.
Yes.
Yeah. I mix it up every year.
Yeah.
I got tired of I can't do the turkey thing, and I can't do and really I can't afford the some folks go out and get prime rib and make that at home, and I'm like, I saw some in Am's Club, right? And it was like $70 for a piece of meat.
My
And I was like,
goodness.
So I just kind of make it up as I go every year.
Yeah.
And the kids are like, "What's he doing this year?" I don't know. Come on over.
Do you know what you're doing yet?
Not yet.
Not yet? Okay.
Not yet. So whatever it will be, I will be sending all the leftovers home with my kid that no longer lives with us. So he actually dug the 4 pounds of turkey. I sent him home at Thanksgiving. So.
Nice.
Hey, it's all about happy holidays. Hopefully you can have family together. And even if you can't FaceTime them, say hi.
Don't
reach
forget
out.
to say Merry Christmas or Happy Hanukkah or Kwanzaa.
Happy Kwanzaa, and all that good stuff. And guess what? We got to come back with final thoughts after these important messages.
Ask any elf, and they'll tell you where the real magic is. It's when their eyes light up when they see the spirit of the season. Explore the winter wonderland of nature and lights at the Belton Lake Outdoor Recreation Area. Load up the family and come out to see the wonder of over 5 miles of holiday light displays and more. Make time to make memories this year and share the tradition. Nature and lights. Share the magic.
Midnight. The perfect time for a sneaky snack while everyone's asleep. This and a little bit of that.
Say, Phil.
Ye God, you frightened me. How did you get in my house?
Silly, Phil. It's me.
Elf? Elf on our shelf?
That's right, Phil. I see everything, including you not practicing good cybersecurity. So I got all your passwords and stole your identity, and now this is my house, Phil. My house. You go sit on a shelf, Phil.
This holiday season, it's more important than ever to practice good cybersecurity. After all, you never know who's watching.
Fort Hood's Great Big Podcast, now available at those fancy schmancy streaming sites.
Coming on strong on a Monday. I feel so low, won't be long till one.
Okay, and a 1, and a 2, and a 3.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear podcast. Happy birthday to you. And many more.
Well, we'll see, you know.
Right?
Dave is doing the most.
If we can get through this show, maybe. So anyway, the podcast actually was born on December 16th, 2019. And we would be remiss, would we not, if we weren't to mention the other 2/3 of the original co-host team. Specialist Brianna Dew, unfortunately, had a passing of a loved one. So she couldn't be here this week. Yeah. Our thoughts and prayers are with her. And Charlie Mabe is over in Japan eating sushi.
Yes, I know. Did you see how big that plate was?
Yeah, did you see it empty in the next post?
Yeah.
So, yeah, he's enjoying life a little bit, although COVID is kicking in over there a bit.
Yeah.
But, hey, more power to him, man.
Mm-hmm.
And we miss him and wish him a very happy holiday season over there in the land of the rising sun. Mm-hmm. But final thoughts. We're getting ready to 2020 is almost gone.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Are y'all like those people?
It's been an awful year.
Yeah, or like y'all those people that think like when the new year kind of starts, everything goes back to normal?
No.
Well, it's like when people that think it's your birthday and it's like, oh, I'm 40 now or I'm 50 now, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
You know, no, you're just a day older than yesterday.
Yeah.
No, I agree.
The beginning of the year was good. I had my son. And it's been amazing to watch him grow and spend so much time with him. But other aspects of this year have been awful.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. So there was at least a silver lining for you.
Yes.
Right?
And I get to see it every day when I go home.
The last time I had vacation, and I'm taking next week off, right? But the last time I had vacation was February when I went to Arizona to see the Brewers at spring training.
Yep.
Came back and went to work, and about 3 weeks later, you know, the sky was falling.
Yeah.
And we couldn't go nowhere.
Yeah.
And I'm just done with it. I'm so ready to be done. I'm kind of glad that there's a hiatus because everybody goes on block leave here at Fort Hood.
Right.
Right. Folks are going home to see family, or at least taking the break like I am. I'm not going anywhere. And like you going back to Orange, Texas.
Yeah.
But just to get out of here and take a breath.
Yeah.
And do something different because we've had our head down and we've been pushing. Hey, there's a vaccine and it arrived today here at Fort Hood. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure by the time people listen to this thing, they've seen folks getting shots, the emergency room nurses and stuff. And, that's happening now.
Yeah.
So there is a light at the end of the tunnel for COVID, right? Whether you like vaccines or not.
Yeah,
well,
it hasn't been tested long enough.
Everybody has opinions out there on what's going on. And we will not tell you what to think here on the Great Big Podcast. All we will tell you is have a happy and safe holiday season.
Yes.
Right? And we will see you. Maybe not with Blair in the studio, but we will see you again
after the new year.
2021. Yay! We can say goodbye now.
Yeah. Every single time you say it, goodbye, Happy New Year, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, and Happy Kwanzaa.
And no hasta la vista, baby.
Hasta la vista, baby.
Driving down the road